Wow. You know what? I couldn't ask for a better divine surprise. I am really shaken up here. What a gift. What a gift, what a gift, what a gift. Whew. And you know, this has been the month of will. And it's about stepping into that light. And it's about our power to choose and our power to make decisions. And oh my gosh, the adrenaline running. You put that kind of adrenaline in that song last week with 11 to 14-year-olds. Now, what a blessing. Charles, I want you to go back for a second here because I actually discovered just a couple seconds ago that what these guys were doing this last week was coming into their awareness. So let's go up to that daily word. Can we go back in the slides? Oh, yeah, I should probably.
There you go.
Oh, well, you know, it's kind of like camp. Part of the time, all the way up until they made that new judgment, we were free in the woods. A new discernment, but we got to a certain point where we had to put the mask back on. We were on state property. There we go, down the next one. Awareness. We just came back from a camp where we were all stepping into the awareness, and it does feel like the world is new right now, coming back as we grow in the awareness. But I love this part down here because this is really what happened, and I think it made me think, Shar, I should have picked Open My Eyes So I Can See.
Yeah.
Because you guys filled in for me for that chance to get away, to get out into that awesomeness, which that's basically where they come into that awareness, is in the awe of what they see as the virtues of the divine in a natural setting that comes forward. So let's say this part together, because this is where we're going to go today. Okay? Open my eyes so that I may behold wondrous things out of your law. Now, isn't it funny? Since last March, we've been doing that on a real quickened basis. The world does feel anew, kind of like every day now. Kind of like every day. So when, you know my process, when I don't know what I'm going to talk about, I just throw something out there. And so when I sat with this, because Larry wasn't going to be speaking today, well, I was going to speak, based on his decision. That's why I originally thought I picked the topic of not it. Was he the minister, or are we going to say not it? Okay, and I'm like, nope, doesn't have the emotion with it, doesn't feel like right, that's not mine to talk about. Okay, and then I started talking to Donna, and I started talking to Sandra, and I started talking to Shar, and I thought, I went back and I sat with Spirit, and I'm still only getting silence. I'm still only getting not it. And it kind of choked me up because I went into that ego place. That ego place. And one of the things that I was left with when Dwayne left here is you'll have an opportunity to speak again. Today may not have been it. Because it was after my last talk. I was brought the message, you said I over 100 times. You were way off base. You couldn't keep track on anything. Well, you know what? I just was gifted back 12 me's. 12 me's that didn't want to stay on track. But let me kind of tell you how I got there, because that's not what we're going to talk about today. I really want to share the joy and the passion I have as being out there with those kids and being in that energy when they come alive. You get up to a certain point, especially for those kids that are 11 to 14, they don't know where they're going. Shoot, we don't know where we're going either. And they don't know what their passions are, and we don't know really what our passions are. And they don't see anything before them. And you know what we actually take them on during those camps is a hero's journey. We've all been on a hero's journey since last March, trying to stay alive, trying to make it to our doctor's appointments, trying to be that next better me, so that doesn't happen again. Now, I did write an introduction, and I mentioned it's and that's and all this other thing because I didn't know where I was going. But you know what? It comes back to this time and place. When I got up this morning, this is it. This is it. You only have this now moment. This is it. So in the silence, though, I was still getting until about, I don't know, I want to say about, because I did wake up all through the night going, now do I get a clear understanding? Now do I have a clear understanding? Nope, not it, not yet, not it. Don't have an understanding. What I want to tell you about is we're quickening and it's all good. That's the simplest message of all. It's quickening, it's all good. Now we talked about other things because, you know, we talk about that power of putting not in front of it. Well, I'm going to tell you a story now about 12 amazing kids. They were told the same thing. Don't put not in front of it because they learned a lesson on what they focused on. So I'm going to start out with what is it in my life? You know, my grandma P used to say there's two big words out there that are actually the most powerful words in the whole world. The first one is if. And why is that? Infinite possibilities. And the second one is it. And why is that? Because you're trying to align or create a light relationship with something that's out there that you've already pre-named or already had an experience with. You know what? You already have. You've already had that experience. You have it inside of you. Isn't that what we're all going after right here? Especially today as we celebrate together, we are going after it. You know, I did a thing a long time ago. It was called Est Reality Therapy. Do you remember that? And they defined everything by that word it. It this, it that, it this, it that. But actually, I'm not going to talk about denial today. I'm going to talk about fun. I'm going to just give you, because I am so terrified of speaking up here in front of you today, I'm going to do show and tell. And I'm just going to tell you a story. Not it is what I was calling last time when I discovered that this isn't out where my heart is. My heart's down the hallway in an empty room without children. I'm the father that walked away. I'm the grandparent ready to start. And right now is not the right time. Why is that? There's no kids back there, so I went off and had an adventure. You go off on adventures all the time, don't you? All right, so it's not going to be about alignment. It's going to be about fun. So think about this. I show up on Friday night, and we're getting ready to start an adventure that's based on Joseph Campbell's monomyth from his book, A Hero with 1,000 Faces. You know, usually we have 120 kids. We have 12. These campers are brought here to move through 7 of those 12 steps that any hero in any story goes through in order to make it to it. Get through all the way to that other side of whatever challenge they are in, whether it's, I don't know, think of a Woody Allen movie, drinking, whether it's, you know, learning how to walk and, you know, mermaid, whatever, but it's always, there's 7 steps that they have to go through. And, you know, if you think about it, actually, Joseph Campbell's book is a derivative of Christopher Vogler's 12 Stages of a Hero's Journey that a lot of campers actually experience when they go away to a summer camp because they combine with it a series of challenges that are not really related to their life called ropes courses. So they have an indication on how to work together to get through things. Now, we do this in a way that is complemented by creative art experiences, family discussions, nature walks, heart agreements, and things that we call heart talks. And we do community service at the end. Now, this year we knew it was going to be weird when it started out, and here we are, we're on a state property. We're trying to give them nutritional meals. We can't even get milk, and meals are like mac and cheese and biscuits. Okay, so we, you know, try to make our way through the camp with the natural challenges that come up, but deep inside there's other challenges yet awaiting. Don't you feel like that every day? deep inside everything, there's another challenge. Now, this COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, this COVID experience, you know, these had all these guidelines in place. They're having to get scanned at everything. There's other camps coming and going. Some of them refuse to wear masks. Some of them will. You know, the state's coming in and taking some people away. It's kind of reflecting a bad horror film. I don't want to say that in a bad way, but a place of discomfort for some of them. You know, we're supposed to be on this roadmap to recovery, but our health advisories are giving out mixed signals. And other things we're doing are giving out mixed signals. So we really don't know this whole time. We're kind of at this threshold of wilderness the whole time that we're there. No cell phone service, no internet, no nothing, you know. So anyway, so on Friday we start all the activities and we prep the cabins. And I like to do it like I come here early and I walk through the rooms and I put out a little bit of energy. And it was really important on the first night because smoke hung low with all that smoke coming from the west. And you know, if there's smoke, what's that first thought that goes in your head? When there's smoke, there's fire. Do we want to go there with those thoughts? No. So other camp counselors, you know, I'm holding this space and then other camp counselors call to show up and they're all coming in. Oh, there's smoke. I wonder what's going on. Don't hold that thought. Let's keep going. And then, you know, even other things were popping up that kind of put another fear factor there. One of the male camp counselors called. You have to have two in order for guys, according to our own agreements, can participate. Because you have to have two guys stay in the cabin with all the up to 6 kids. We had 5 guys. He called out. He tested at a checkpoint and now is in the hospital with COVID. So the other male counselor they got was a substitute and said, you're going to have to train him. And my normal family counselor partner that I have had for the last 4 years, Laura, couldn't make it because she's a paralegal and they had a huge court case going on. So it was kind of me with somebody new out in the wilderness once again. So I did train him though, and I got an opportunity Friday afternoon, and we walked down and we were asked to clear the way for the river walk. So I filled him in on how we did things. He goes, oh yeah, I used to do YOU camps and dot, 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 dot. And he's 20. And he's full of energy. And I was like, well, our assignment is to go down and check out the river for the river walk, but we need to be quiet. First of all, we need to take tools with us because, you know, they haven't cleared a path. It really hasn't been open, the ropes course, for almost 2 years. And we need to clear that area, and then we need to go down and make our way back up to what's called Yellow Jacket, which is Yellow Jacket River, which is where we would normally have our bonfires. We're in charge of cleaning it. But, you know, because of everything that's going on, my routine is I'm still fill the space with energy before anybody shows up. I prefer we do it in silence. So we did that. We walked down the river bottoms to the Sispus River, and as we approached in silence, we became aware of all these things that we're beginning to ask the kids to become aware of. The silence, the patience of the water as it moves leaves down, what's left of water that you can walk across, or the trees as they shimmered on the mountainside as if they were blowing the wind away to help the smoke go away. But all these things that we don't get to experience in city life, even in these little towns called PA or Squim. You know, it's something that's naturally built in to this gift called the planet that we're on. So Saturday morning we, you know, worked on, or Friday night we worked on our skits, and Saturday morning we got ready to greet all the incoming campers. And they checked in. I kind of thought it was kind of funny. They came in 2, then 2, then 2 more, and then 2 more. They came in 2s. I thought, isn't that irony? As each arrived, they moved through check-in, cabin assignments, and finally off, they went to the welcome room to explore. And you know, one of the things we talked about all the way through before getting there is we can't have bonfires. We can't have fire. We can't have some of those natural elements that we use to celebrate, such as a natural bonfire, to throw something in, to discard something if we were doing a releasing ceremony, or even, carrying our torches we used to carry down to the bonfire to start the initial bonfire like we're in the Olympics. Things had to change. We had to change. We discovered we needed to change as we started the first session. So slowly they arrived and they got an opportunity to make their own light. They got an opportunity to make their own journal, which is what I've extracted a lot of this stuff out of. Their own satchel, and of course, they're reminded of all the rules. They have to stay in masks if they're inside, or come up with a way that they can all stay at least 6 feet apart as they sleep. Instantly they go head, toe, head, toe, head, toe, done. I was like, I love you guys. So after a few joy songs and some orange wedges on the first night, I still hadn't known what I was going to talk about, because I take these thoughts with me to work on a talk when I get there, and I'm still getting not it. And then on the first night, the campfire queen joined us. How many of you met Jenny Wilkerson? Oh my gosh, she is a mini minister in her 30s. She doesn't proclaim it yet, but what a gift. And she starts out telling them as they get down to that stage and that candlelit bonfire, you are the hero and this is your journey. We thank you for leaving your ordinary world and joining us here this week. It is a hero's journey. And she explains, this is where the hero exists before his present story begins. Obviously, the adventures are yet to come. It's your safe place, your everyday life, where you learn crucial details about our hero. His true nature, capabilities, and outlook on life. This anchors the hero as a human, just like you and me. It makes it easier for us to identify with him and hence later empathize with his plight. And thank you for being in a place where you could hear it and call yourself home. So you are on a call to the adventure. The hero's adventure begins when he receives a call to action and you respond, such as a direct threat to your safety or a desire to be somewhere different. It could be from his family or his way of life, or just a piece of his community that brings him into this insight in which where he lives or she lives. It may not be as dramatic as a gunshot or something drastic going on in your life, but you right now are on a hero's journey. Do you guys all in this room believe you're on a hero's journey? Especially with COVID and everything going on? And whenever that thought starts to come into your mind, you actually manifest it yourself. It ultimately disrupts your normal hero's journey to fill you in with a new one. So you answer the call, or there's some of us, I hate to say this out there, refuse the call, right? How many of you know the hero's journey? So what do you do after you answer the call? You either refuse it or you move forward, right? Now think about this. These 11 to 14-year-olds have had to come with quick shot, reflex, adapt my lifestyle, teach me school in a box, teach me where I can't have interaction with all my friends. They immediately get thrown into, can't do it my old way. Have you ever been there? Oh my gosh, what are you feeling inside when this happens? Not it! Not it! I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want this experience. But you know what? We all did. Anyway, answer that call. All right. So that's when I'm still screaming inside since this all started. I all of a sudden hit this discovery on the first campfire. She said, you accepted the call. At this time, I'd like you to pull out your string. Everybody got a string? Everybody got a string. Tie your first knot in gratitude of your heart answering the call. So I did that with my string. And I tied it where? Right in the center. Okay? That's a reminder to center in the truth of everything that's out there once you answer the call. Now, by then, you have support on your journey. So this is actually after heart agreements and community meetings and getting together for the first time and doing our arts and crafts. They've now bonded a little bit and they've met their mentors. Who are their mentors in the world? Who were their mentors at that point after they met 7 camp counselors and 10 other people? They are their own mentors. At this crucial turning point where the hero desperately seeks guidance, he meets a mentor. Donna used to tell me this. When a student's ready to learn, what happens?
The teacher will appear.
The teacher will appear. Well, these people, these little people now, 11 to 14, are ready to learn something new. How am I going to deal with this? So at this crucial point, the hero desperately needs guidance, and he meets the mentor figure who gives him something he needs. Well, in this case, the one they were attached to now, I don't know if I should say his name, but they called him McJesus. This is the 20-year-old. This is now the camp counselor. That's the one they put at the top of the reins. He's got long, dark hair and a beard. Of course, I would call him McJesus too. In fact, Wendy, on the way there, I said, wouldn't it be funny to just be a small group of like 12 and one leader so we don't have to listen to a bunch, and then, the two of us there to make the thing complete? You know what it was? We called it forward, sure did. And McJesus showed up. All right, so for the second one, because now we've met all of our mentors, tell you another knot. You've now just completed step 4 of your hero's journey. So as you're tying this knot, think about who you've added recently during this COVID-19 period that has stepped forward into the light that helps us lead. All right, and then the next thing, we're already crossing that threshold, because we came with fears to this camp. I came to fears today. My fear of speaking. The last thing I remember doing well was We the People, the preamble in 9th grade, because the script was on a teleprompter. I was told what to say, but now these kids are getting their own voice, and so am I. So we cross this threshold, and the hero is now ready to act upon his call to adventure and truly begins his quest, whether it be physical, spiritual, or emotional. So we've had all these heart talks. We've now worked with them on arts and crafts. This group of 12 is getting pretty close to one another. And they're discovering that they now have help. So next steps in the ropes course, and they're introduced to a new person now to their community. So the night before them, we embrace them after they put their leather strings away. Tomorrow brings the ropes course and the challenges by choice. You don't have to do anything, or you can do everything. It's all up to you. You get to make the choices as you move forward the ropes courses. You're going to see things you've got to step on. You're going to see things that you're going to have to step over. But the most important thing is you're going to see yourself working with your family now on working through things together. At the same time, as you're doing this, I want you to think about what attribute you've now seen in spirit that you'd like to infuse your life with. And as you go forth tomorrow, maybe you might discover one of the powers that you've been learning about over the last year that will help you along the way. And while you're considering both of those things, decide and discern on how willing you will be and what your restrictions will be. So you're going to meet tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we're going to start with the low ropes courses. And when you come back, you'll have other family activities, blah, 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 blah. So now, it was 103 degrees out that day. We're getting ready to go to bed. And so, of course, the showers are all steaming up and getting ready to go. And we went ahead and let them tie another knot when they got to what we call Vespers, after they were all cleaned up. And at this time, I'd like you also here to tie your third knot with your intention for tomorrow, for when you're on the ropes courses, what you proclaim you would like to bring forward in your life. Now, for you, see, you will be faced with tests, allies, and enemies, and you'll be moved from your comfort zone to what they call a stretch point as you move into this unknown. But we're going to tell you everything's going to be okay, because we're going to be here to catch you. So now, finally, the hero is asked to come out of his comfort zone as his confronted with even more difficult series of challenges and tests, because now the obstacles that he has placed in his way are that of his own decisions. We do that, don't we? We say this over and over and over again before we give anything a chance, don't we? Okay, I think that's what Spirit was telling me. I can't, I won't. You know, when that came to me, the first thing I did when I saw that first wood step up, it was a log about this high, and I felt this. What is my body screaming? Not it. Guys, I'm not going up on that with you guys today. Well, the hero needs to find out who he can, if he has to go up, who he can trust with that. Who helps me up? Who helps you up when we go through things? It's our family. It's our mentors. It's our minister. It's all those things, but who's the number one that helps us out? Hard to follow? It's yourself. I saw somebody in the back room do that. It's yourself. So at the ballet school, there's a new ropes course instructor that next morning. And he's configured a bunch of group exercises that'll get him to congenial just right and perfect. And everybody's hopes and their energy and their insights is bringing them to a higher level. And they're stepping out of their comfort zones on these other this was no challenge to a 11 to 14-year-old. They jumped right over it. They teamed up, and I got 10 little people, I guess you want to call them, to stand on a box like that and keep balance and not fall off. They did it. I didn't do it. Who did it? They did it. So they're seeing this presented in front of them. At the ballet school, they continued the group exercises, and they started working on these other indicator factors you have that keeps you safe and secure when you're out on the ropes course. And there's your feeling factors. If you feel like you're going to fall, what's probably going to happen? You're going to fall, right? And if you don't want to fall, what kind of support are you going to ask for? It's a 4-letter word. It's not a bad one. H-E, help. You're going to ask for help. All right. So during the demonstrations, one of the campers said something to the effect that they didn't like something, and they hoped they never had this to experience that. What did that do? Well, it triggered somebody, and this time it was the ropes course instructor. And he said, it's kind of like saying I don't like chocolate cake. How many of you don't like chocolate cake? Okay, where's your focus right now? Chocolate cake! Chocolate cake. So your intentions or your focus or your actions now become based on what? I call it the old slug bug principle. It's on that last song when you got out of the car. It's on that. Yeah, all right. So what you want to do is, before even going there, before you put a challenge in front of you, you want to put it in the right mindset. So before they got hoisted up to a ladder to climb that first 20 feet to get on that 24-foot high wire using nail spikes, are you going to say, not it? No. You're going to say, that's how high I want to go. And then what he did once we got out there, he said, if that's how high you want to go, do you want to try that or something better? Don't we get that opportunity every time? That or something better. And so this presented something to them that they had to work on. And as it is mentioned in the hero's journey, it's called the inmost cave. Where do they got to take it in order to answer that question? Deep, 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 deep inside. Now, you know, there's people like me that used to, you know, it's their first time there. My first time there, after I fell off the ladder before moving to Washington from a certain height, guess where that height is of that cable? You have different fears at different levels. You know, all the way from the one that explores all the time and does it with a wheeze and a breeze and a yahoo, to those that get up onto 2 steps and go into a straight panic attack. So it becomes a big ordeal. By the way, step 8 on the hero's journey, where the supreme ordeal may be a dangerous physical step or a deep inner crisis that brings you to the realization that the hero must face something. They must actually get through something in order to survive in a world, or for a world in which their hero lives to continue to exist, whether it be facing your greatest fear or just the little experiences that you know that you could go on to that next step. You guys have all done that. You've all done that. Only though that there's got to be some kind of death. So what is death? You got to let go of something for something new to come in, right? So one of the art projects we did is I was like, why are you having me collect all this ceramic tile from all these, Habitat for Humanity and stuff before coming? This is kind of a really weird last resort or last request, but I'm picking up ceramic tiles and glow-in-the-dark paint. Okay, now I thought this is weird. Now I discovered the ceramic tiles is because we needed something physical for them to break through in order to get what they want. And if it's a attribute of spirit that they're really working hard on, because one of them was really working hard on focus. They wrote focus on that tile, and they concentrated on what, I want to say, virtues they already knew that they had that were going to help them get there. As they took either a mallet or guys like power tools, there's a lot of going on, but there was, a lot of them did it with ease and grace. With one crack and it shattered through with either a rock or a hammer. And so they realized that it's the virtues they had within them that made it stronger, and they remolded it into a pathway step or a patio tile in which to now mark a new path. So some people have to go through physical deaths. Some people just have to get there and approach what it is and face it face to face. But as a final gift, I was asked on the last day to do their praise or their certificates and award them for what I experienced with them. So I'm walking them through, and what happened is what I created with the words I put out there. 12 kids, just like the disciples, discovering the power they had within in order to make it through to receive those attributes that would bring a better life. And so the first one walked up to me, and resurrection in the hero's journey is like saying goodbye to something and starting something new so that you can return with greater elixir, like it says in the hero's journey. So as I watched them go through and work my way around the circle, they've just received a memory stone that could be the light of anything they want, and they've looked into the God box where they see themselves as many aspects, and they move forward. And I've watched them all week long, so what do I do for them? Is I give them their parting goodbye. I helped them realize that if she wanted strength, all those things I observed for her. Or if she wanted a deeper faith because she was living in fear for the last 4 months and didn't speak to anybody that only a few of us knew, I could tell her that fear not, she's always got somebody, because that love and comfort of God walks with you everywhere. I could tell the one that needed to have a little bit more willingness in order to decide what is right and perfect to do for their career choice, because they're going to ask them to go through testing, what is it, ACT, SAT, that they could move through that with ease and grace based on what I witnessed them doing and experiencing. So they get to return home with elixir. So their reward out there, I'm going to have to say, it was either their breakthrough that they made through at their heart talks, or if it was a physical instead of spiritual, it was that word they got to scream when they were at the top of the zip line as they flew overhead. But they all did something more than the trust wave they started out doing. They came a family closer together, using their hero powers to support one another as they moved through life and prepared for their road back home. That's really what a hero's journey is. Thank you guys for going through it with me and supporting them. They did send you back a little prayer, and it goes like this. You can tie as many things on your journey, but each one has to represent something that's meaningful for you. But Spirit wasn't telling me it wasn't mine to do. They wanted me to connect to it. You need to knot it together. So this may not be the best and most perfect talk. I never said it was going to be. I said I would speak today. The real hero's journey we've already had, and we're still doing every day. And that's all because of you, and I'm so grateful. So let's take these thoughts into a time of meditation. And I can tell you about 2 weeks of stories because, everything from a squirrel throwing caramel M&Ms at me to kids that didn't realize they could walk on water. It was just amazing. From the starlit night where the Perseid meteor shower on the third day blessed us with its presence, as I explained that underneath Orion's belt, especially to the one that thinks that they're a child of Zeus, there's always a miracle and something coming greater through. That somewhere there are people to whom you can speak to with passion. Without having the words catch in our throats like mine are doing now, somewhere a circle of hands will open up to receive us. Somewhere we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength even tighter as we tie it together. Do the work that needs to be done, my friend, and you'll always know. Arms to hold us when we falter or try to fall is that circle of family that's actually the circle of friends. It's a circle of all you know. Someplace where we can be set free as we're dreaming in the dark. So feel free to make yourself comfortable before we begin this meditation. And join me in taking a couple deep breaths. As you close your eyes and breathe in, feel that rise and fall on your chest, just like you're about ready to go to sleep. The air that you breathe now, know that it was breathed by countless others in the past and will be breathed by many more in the future. As the air passes through each body, it helps sustain this life. And as it does, it creates a web of interconnection of all beings. Air bridges the gap between our bodies and nature, and that air fills your lungs is also present in all that you see. The birds and the animals outside, and even the trees and the plants all over the earth. You can breathe that in too deeply. As deeply as you believe. Feel the cool air as it comes in through your nose and into your chest. And let it come to a place of peace where you no longer resist. And with that next breath, realize how powerful you are. For just as the oneness of the earth is sometimes overlooked, so are you. So say thank you silently and feel that gratitude. For this is where you stay alive with that great appreciation of this simple phenomenon that fills all the world with beautiful life. So breathe in, my friends, my beautiful children, and spread that heart feeling from the place of where you are now. Feel free to move across that zip line and touch the trees as you pass. Feel free to sing like the birds to make this moment last. But most of all, reach out in joy to all your friends and family along the way. And most of all, those that are with you in your heart, right here today. Thank you, my friends, for because of you, your love goes on. So the difference between can't and can is what you keep alive or what you free. Blessed be. So come back into this room, into this time and space, and we're going to let BA join us again with some music in this space. I'm going to turn my mic off if I can do that.